show. 1029. Shelly Wuellner in the studio. So how long has it been since you've been on the show?
It's been a while. I think April, maybe.
It was right after you came back from Washington. Now that
Yeah.
I was walking, doing my little pacing. And I'm like, that's when she was on. It was right after you got back. How's everything been?
It's been great. A lot of things have gone on since then. I found out that I was elected as the vice president for the Illinois School Nutrition Association. So I took that position in May.
Wow.
And it's been a wonderful ride ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the day-to-day look like with that role?
That's just, so my big thing is I have to plan our conference, which is in October 2026. So we also just had our conference this year in October. So that's kind of nerve-wracking. It'll be my first conference,
right,
to plan. But
and now in those conferences, you have like public speakers. Is it a pretty big event?
It's a very big event. I was really excited this year. We did a legislation section where our legislative team that goes to DC, we got together, the committee, and came up with a presentation so that we could get others to get fired up to go to DC and advocate. And we're actually planning an advocation day in April of this year for Springfield, which will be fun.
Really good.
And at that conference, we had 2 guest speakers that helped us with our presentation, and one of those was Deputy Governor Andy Manar.
Oh, wow.
And Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer. And I mean, we were so honored to have them there. It was also during one of the veto weeks, so they were all
turning around.
Yeah. So
well, and now for the folks that maybe don't understand or just following along or just tuning in, take them through, if you could, a refresher of just some of the work that you've done and really the need for this, because healthy food in schools isn't, to me, it's not a privilege, it's a right that every child should have. And I'm glad now we're on this national kick, it seems like anyway, of getting rid of the red 40s of the world. And
right.
Now maybe next is figuring out what the hell is in that Tyson chicken patty, sometimes. But, now we're getting to healthy food. And I think
right.
it's so important. Whenever you came in that first time with those muffins even and talked about some of the things you guys are doing, it's really important to hear that and just to see that advocacy in action.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, all the lunch ladies throughout the U.S., I mean, their goal is to feed every single child.
Right. I
mean, they're in school. A lot of them get dropped off early in the mornings from the bus or because their parents have to go to work. And so we have breakfast and lunch available. And quite honestly, I mean, you're required to send your kid to school and where they get every other resource that they need for their school day. Why are they not getting food?
Right.
That should just be included. And a lot of people don't understand that the cafeteria department in your school district is funded by the USDA and your federal dollars. It's not funded by your property tax. And the only time that property tax money that goes to your school is used in the cafeteria is when bills can't be paid. So if a student can't pay their bill because they're being charged for lunch or breakfast, we all fall on hard times, and I'm certainly not judging anybody, but that money then comes out of the Gen Ed fund, which affects your everyday funding for your school. So we work within a budget and try to keep our costs within that budget. And when they talk about cutting budgets, on the federal level, then that's going to take a deeper dip into your educational fund. So it's very important to advocate for funding.
Well, it's good to explain the avenue in which those two connect, because you're right. So many times when it's not really a political or a side of the aisle thing when it comes to this. When there's cuts in general, there's a new budget or there's new ways of doing things. It seems like USDA and it seems like a lot of those departments get cut at least a little bit out of. And now to explain, hey, when these budgets get cut, it comes out of our Gen Ed fund, which does come out of, our kitty. That's really important and really a big reason on why to push for this and continually advocate for more funding when it comes to this initiative, because you're alleviating the taxpayer.
Right. Right.
Wow. This is really, I didn't really, now I'm putting it really together. That perfectly explains it.
Yeah. Federal funding is important. And in Illinois, we have our Senate bill and our representative bills. So our representative Maurice West introduced the bill. It's House Bill. I have to double check the number because
everyone else does too, Shelly. It's okay.
It's House Bill 2365, and Senator Ellman introduced the same bill on the Senate floor, and that's Senate Bill 1419. And those are both just asking for appropriations of $67 million, which is the current shortfall.
That's what we were talking about earlier this year. Okay.
So those were all tabled at the end of the year, and now we're picking back up, and we're advocating for those bills again to let's get a line item in Illinois to get that appropriations for.
Absolutely.
I recently went to the Illinois State Board of Education, and they had a hearing for their fiscal year 27 budget. So I live in Godfrey, and I drove up to Springfield to speak at this hearing. I was one of 40-ish people, and of those 40 that were there speaking, I was one of 3 from south of Springfield. Advocating for funding. The majority of them were from Chicago, and that's great that they're advocating, but I always hear, well, they don't care about south of Springfield.
Got to show up.
They do care.
Yeah.
You got to be there. You got to speak up for it.
Well, and that's the thing, Shelly. So many times I think we all get, I say we all, but categorically we all, get in this rut where it's like, well, they just don't care. And who's to say? But you got to at least show up to at least get your answer. You can't just assume, know. And it's alarming, too, that only 3 people out of the southern part that weren't from up north.
Yes.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I'm just like,
is it lack of info? I mean, did everyone know about? I'm not being funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. You can hear about it.
Okay.
You do know about it. Your superintendent might know about it. I mean, if you're in the right organization, if you log into ISB, his website, you're going to know about it. I mean, it's just, I was really disappointed, but at the same time, I was like, there was 2 of us total asking for the appropriations. So I'm like, if you want the money, you got to ask for it. And we can't sit there and say, well, our elected officials, they aren't listening. Every elected official that I watch, and I follow both sides, Republicans and Democrats, and they're all out there advocating for you and meeting with you, and then I'll get on their Facebooks and I'll see where they've been out, and when you got to look past some of this, it's purely entertaining most of the time, where the people that are commenting on their posts are not their supporters. It is their, and it's like, it's childish.
It is. Well, and to me, it's one of those things where you're never going to get anything done. It's just you're going to be in that, I always call it the weird relationship cycle where just no one's ever satisfied.
Right.
But when it comes to food, there's no political debate.
No.
And there shouldn't be. And it's just about, really being informed and really pushing for this, because there's 8 billion things that representatives and senators are dealing with bill-wise each and every day. And the amount of phone calls that come in and amount of traffic, there's a lot to respond to. So you have to have a big voice and always constantly push for this.
Right. And, it's not that I don't take no for answer.
Right.
But I'm constantly reaching out to them. Not every week, not every day. You do have to stay in contact with them and stay in the forefront of their mind. I met with Senator Harris. She supports the same bill. I've met with Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer a couple of times. He's supportive of the bill. And, they're all supportive of kids eating and feeding them, and why aren't we getting anywhere, to move forward on this? It's not a political, it's not Democrat, it's not Republican. We all suffer the same.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, with that, real quick, is there a chance this could go through before the end of the year, the appropriations line item, or is this okay? So we're done until next year.
No, well, you're not really done. I mean, we can still get this moving forward, and it can still pass at any time. But we just have to advocate for it and keep it in everybody's mind. I will share, this is a interesting, so when you start going down the rabbit hole, you can go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And so I was sitting there, and if you look at the original bill asked for 209 for full appropriations, and we're only asking for 67 million. But and I know only, I mean, wouldn't it be nice?
Well, I mean, honestly, it is only because in the world of hundreds of billions of dollars on everything else, and, I mean, look locally, every bridge is at least a couple of, it's a lot of money. It really is not that much to feed our kids.
And so when I break it down for you, in the state of Illinois, there are 6.9 million taxpayers. Okay. So it would cost 6.9, you don't want to call them taxpayers. Let's just call them a special club. Club members. It would cost us 10 cents a day to feed kids breakfast and lunch at school. That's $36.50 a year. $36.50 a year. Yeah. That would then save you, if you have children in the school district, that would save you $600 to $1,200 a year in groceries.
100%.
So $36.50 isn't worth that. And then when you look at, we're feeding them healthier food items, we're teaching them how to eat healthy. So then that's going to save you on your health premiums, and that can save you in the state of Illinois. The average person pays $1,800 out of pocket for health premiums. So
it's a no-brainer. Well, and to me, it's one of those where it's just that healthy notion alone, where you don't have to worry. It's the peace of mind knowing that you aren't going to have to worry about, I hope little Johnny isn't just going to go find a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos or chips today, or have that sad-looking peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the 14th time. If you like it, that's great, eat it. But there's a ton of other ways to make sure that you're getting true nutrition from the entire food pyramid, not just whatever makes us smile and keeps us moving that day.
Right. And I mean, the school meals are the healthiest meals that so many kids get in a day.
I bet.
So it's like, why aren't we? I mean, it's just like I said, it's such a no-brainer for me as a mom. I mean, both my boys are grown, and they have their eating habits, and we instilled great eating habits into them. But it's like one thing always leads to another. So if we're feeding them well, we're setting them up for their success, they're actually able to focus and learn. And I can't tell you how many times I've had kids tell me, I eat school meals because I know it's good, it's ready, and it helps me stay focused, and I can learn, and I'm ready for the test. And I mean, every lunch lady has that story. Every lunch lady has the story from the other side of it. There's no food at home, and the busiest days continue to be Fridays and Mondays because kids are being proactive and eating before they leave for the weekend, and reactive when they're coming back from being gone from the food consistency. I mean, and children are children. They're not adults. Not most of them can't just whip up a meal and feed themselves. And, parents, we all have busy lives. And I mean, did you ever think for the rest of your life you're going to have to figure out what to eat for yourself?
Well, no 7-year-old should have to be making themselves breakfast or lunch. And that's a whole nother conversation, and that's a whole nother soapbox that I'll get on later, Shelly. But that's why we need options like this, because in a world where this happens all too common, it's not a 1 out of 10. It's it's a lot more frequent than that. We both do. It gets a lot more into the neglect side of things, and that's where it's so interesting. And this is a weird side note, but the relationship that a lunch lady can have with a student is so special because of the food connection and the fact that you're feeding them.
Right, food is
that
love.
Care. And it really shows through. It's so unique. And I think we've all experienced in one way, shape, or form, maybe not us directly, but just that type of environment at play, you know? I don't know. It's just really fascinating. You got a moment to stick around?
Yeah.
10:43. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more next.
Throughout all life stages, you need someone in your corner, guiding you on your health and wellness journey. At OSF Healthcare, that's your primary care provider. Your OSF primary care provider is there for every stage of life. Find a provider today at osfhealthcare.org/primary.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
Tomorrow isn't built by dreamers. It's built by doers. Because progress doesn't work unless we do. So at Ameren, we've been hard at work putting energy to work for you. Adding underground cables, installing advanced switches and sensors, storm hardening poles and power lines, making the energy grid stronger today so it can meet your needs tomorrow. Learn about projects in your area at Ameren.com/energyfuture.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
My guitar too loud. How do you like me now? How do you like me now? Now that I'm on my way, you still think I'm crazy. Standing here today, I couldn't make you love me, but I always dreamed about living in your radio. How do you like me now?
You know, whatever. They're smarter than we are, Shelly. Welcome back, Daily Show. You couldn't hear that. 10:45, a little bit of change. That's my favorite part of the show is when they come back and they go, what in the hell are they just chatting it up about? Because CJ's got that grin on him like, you know, I don't know. With that being said, going back into this, you had Nikki Budzinski tour.
Yes.
How was that?
That was amazing. You know, we have as part of the School Nutrition Association, we have an advocacy section on our website that as a member you can go on, click on it, and it shoots out an email to your representatives, Congress, senators, and invites them in for a cafeteria visit. And Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski immediately her office responded back, hey,
wow.
Let's get something on the books. And it was absolutely amazing. We were so happy. It wasn't just about showcasing the school lunch program. We were able to show how fiscally responsible we are with our money in our district and showcase all the wonderful things that we do and provide for our kids. So it was amazing. And I loved seeing her post on Facebook about
That's
it.
incredible.
So, yeah.
When I just think, you know, to hear more and more about just the budgetary breakdown and really just making it a common sense thing. And, you know, it's just, to me, it's not a partisan thing at all. It's
not
just,
at all.
It's seriously just it's common sense. For all the ways that term is used now, this one is a no-brainer.
Right.
And it really is. And so, you know, when you get a chance, and you had it in March to go and see this in action, you kind of get to see, and I'm sure everyone else does that's a part of this, the fourth wall kind of break down in this terms of it's not, you know, one guy on one news network and his, you know, opposite side of the aisle colleague on the other network complaining about each other.
Right.
It really is a lot more, let's focus on the issue and how do we get this done than people realize.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's not, I always enjoy going to DC, and I'll be there again in March, but you get to go in and you meet with these people, whether it's your actual representative or their aide, their movers and shakers, and we're all on the same page. We all agree, but why aren't we moving it forward? Why aren't we gaining any ground anywhere? Excuse me. But, you know, they're always happy to talk about it. So.
Right. Well, and I think it's just important to note that, too, and that we don't fall into some of these national tumultuous arguments for no reason, because there's really no reason to argue about something that's just such a simple thing to agree on.
Right.
And when, you know, as you're working with within your school district too, what are their thoughts? You know, because I know they have to be pretty happy with the fact that you're, you know, rolling up the sleeves and really going after this.
Yes. I mean, I always love to represent our district. I mean, I'm so honored to be a part of Bunker Hill School District and to be able to advocate. I'm not advocating just for our kids. I'm advocating for all kids, and all kids represent our future. So it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, they're proud of me, and I would never want them to not be proud of me. So it's an honor.
That's really cool. And, you know, how does someone else here, you know, just going back to this meeting, you know, especially for a budgetary meeting, on such a big thing, you know, to only have 3 people from down south, Is there a way that, representatives in other school districts that are maybe in similar positions can reach out to you? And we don't have to give that email, but if there was a way, could we connect you?
Oh, absolutely. I need more people.
Yeah, that's
I
what
want
I was
more
thinking.
people.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to get things done is to show, you don't want to say force, but you want to show unity.
You want to show numbers.
Right. We need to all be advocating for this. We are advocating for the future, whether it's the future of our students, the U.S. students, because their future is our future. And if we aren't doing everything we can to set them up to be successful in the future, we're not paying attention to our own future. So.
Well, with that being said, let me answer this email. Reason it was 10 minutes ahead. I get emails all the time, and I just gotta ignore them real quick. Shelby, you'll love this. I had to reschedule a guest, and with that, we played an old interview, and the clock was 10 minutes ahead of what it was. And I got an email that said, "Hey, someone needs to tell the host his clock's wrong." Kind of okay.
Right.
Our clock's right now, though. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. I'm sorry. That's actually pretty funny. It
is funny, yeah.
But going into this, though, I really hope, back into this, I really hope that you get a coalition, because to me, we can only complain so much when there's a lack of effort on our part, categorically, not from you, obviously, but categorically from us, and getting this issue across the board.
Right. At the end of the day, I know that I can always do more, but I've done the best that I could
with
each
what
day.
you have. Exactly.
Yes. And things like getting your representatives to your school district. I recently reached out to the Alton School District, which they do not belong to the School Nutrition Association, which is fine. But, can I help you facilitate a meeting to showcase your cafeteria, to showcase, they're a CEP school as well, which is a community eligibility provision. They're free breakfast, free lunch. So they're going to benefit from this funding also. The talk is, again, that they're going to change our CEP percentage. They dropped it down low enough where more schools could participate. But if they increase it back up, then we're in trouble again. And it's a constant stay on top of it and, advocate for this. We don't want them changing that CEP. It shouldn't be reliant on that. Governor Pritzker signed Healthy School Meals for All August 11th in 2023. And ironically, August 11th is my birthday, so I'm very honored that was signed into law at that time. And it's just unfunded. It's time to fund it.
Yeah, I agree.
At $36.50 a year, why are we even talking about it? So
I agree. No, it's something really good, and that's something that we can actually see that line item going back. It's not vanishing,
right?
That's not one that miraculously goes away, and you go, "Are you sure we're fixing these roads?" No, we know we're feeding our kids,
right? And
that's a really good note. Shelly, is there anything else to talk about with this right now?
Yes, we do have a new bill coming out on the federal level, which is House Bill 5753. And it's Healthy Meals Help Kids Learn Act of 2025. And what that does on the federal level is it will increase reimbursement rates for school lunch by 45 cents and increase school breakfast by 28 cents.
What does that mean for the common folk?
So as our prices at the grocery store go up, our prices to get food into the school goes up. Yeah. So, the better the reimbursement, the better options we can give our kids. And when you think back, we were talking about this today when I was in school, and when they made everything from scratch in the school, and you'd look in the kitchen and you'd see 10 to 12 lunch ladies back there working, and times change and cuts are made, and food has to acclimate to necessity of what you have available. So we've got all these we want healthy foods, healthy options, but remember, a lot of school cafeteria kitchens are not set up to do that. So then that is also another expense. And so we rely on grants to buy equipment so that we can keep moving forward and get back to scratch. I call it getting back to basics.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember that not everybody knows how to cook.
It's true.
So we still have the training aspect of that. And, there's a lot to it. And that requires money. And
with that, I was just reading a little bit more on this House bill, and it amends the Richard B. Russell National School Lunch Act and the Child Nutrition Act of 1966. Now, the goal of the bill is to help schools provide more nutritious meals and support student learning by ensuring that those schools have adequate funding, and that's where that 45-cent increase comes in. And then we also know on this, too, just for the folks at home, that, get back over here, they are actually doing... it'll be adjusted for inflation starting July 1 of next year. So that's interesting to see if that'll roll through and how that goes.
Yes.
Really good to note. Call your Congress people.
Yes, for sure. There's always tons of bills on the floor. I mean, I can log in and there'll be 1,500 bills. You have to really get in there and work through and find out.
Hope one bill didn't merge into another bill and lose it, and then everything else that fund brings too.
Yes. That bill also talks about how there hasn't been really an adjustment since 1975.
Wow.
So when you think of that, a program, I'm sorry, I might be getting confused. Yeah, I think it was SNAP. I start reading so many things. Like I said, you go down a rabbit hole and it's another. But SNAP is another issue. SNAP, you get $6 a day to feed yourself. $6 a day. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that would be making food from scratch and, meal prepping, but that has not been adjusted since 1975. So you think about all of the inflation we have seen since, that was before you were born, that we're still giving people $6 a day to feed a breakfast, lunch, and supper per person. So
it's just something to think about. For
sure.
Shelly, it's always great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break and we'll wrap up Tuesday right after this.